Chosen one, there is a different weather moving with you this month. A subtle warmth that precedes your steps and lingers after your goodbye. Rooms adjust their posture when you cross a threshold. Voices round their edges. Time itself seems to take a deeper breath. It is not costume or chance. It is alignment arriving at full volume, the inner agreements you have made with truth, discipline, and devotion gathering into one felt presence. Women will sense it before a single word leaves your mouth. They will feel steadiness without stiffness, heat without hazard, invitation without invoice. Irresistible is the word many will reach for, but the truth under that word is simpler. Safety wearing strength. There is a calm center to your current, and the nervous system recognizes a harbor even when it cannot name the shoreline. Do not mistake this rise for permission to perform. Your aura is not a stage light begging for monologues, it is a hearth. A hearth changes a room by existing. No slogans, no spectacle. It warms what draws near, and it asks nothing but respect for the fire. That is the flavor of your energy now. A holy flame surrounded by good brickwork. Women will gather their chairs toward it almost by reflex. Some will sit closer than they planned. Some will speak more honestly than they intended. Some will struggle to resume their errands because your presence loosens knots they had grown accustomed to wearing. You are not responsible for their history, and you are not here to colonize their future. You are here to keep your flame clean and your bricks intact. To let attraction happen without turning it into appetite. To let admiration rise without turning it into leverage. There is a discipline to being desired that has nothing to do with denial and everything to do with design. Walk at the speed where truth can keep up. Let your answers be exact enough to carry tomorrow without wobble. Treat silence like a joint custody between you and the moment. Neither of you owns it, both of you are responsible for its welfare. When you laugh, let no one pay for the joke. When you compliment, aim as carefully at character as you do at beauty. When it is time to leave, leave while tenderness still breathes, so the memory stays soft rather than becoming a cliffhanger that drags tomorrow into debt. These small manners are the architecture that makes your glow livable instead of merely memorable. Understand what irresistible actually signals. Irresistible is not a verdict about conquest. It is a confession about coherence. High energy in a man who is scattered feels like noise. High energy in a man who is gathered feels like gravity. Your gravity allows others to set down burdens for a moment. Exaggerated personas, rehearsed defenses, the exhausting habit of shrinking to be safe. They may try to hold you as insurance against losing that relief. Answer the instinct with kindness and clarity. Your eyes must bless without buying. Your tone must honor without promising what your character cannot chaperone. Your posture must create space rather than consume it. In doing so, you teach the lesson your aura came to teach. Peace is portable, and they are allowed to carry it away with them. Attend to the basics with greater reverence than ever. Sleep as if kindness depends on it, because it does. Eat in a way that does not send tomorrow the bill for tonight's charm. Move your body so usefulness is your default, not display. Pray until your identity stops auditioning for the day. Keep your word to small things so your presence can hold big ones without sagging. High energy is persuasive. Governance is what makes it trustworthy. The more you govern, the more your magnetism converts from spectacle into sacrament. Women will feel the difference at once. Spectacle asks to be watched. Sacrament invites reverence and sends people home more themselves. Receive the gaze without needing to collect it. Irresistible attention will arrive with a tremor, a linger in the eyes, a softness in the voice, a rearrangement of schedules in your direction. Sometimes that tremor is clumsy, sometimes it is sacred. Your task is to read the room with compassion and keep the climate breathable. If you sense possession tightening, widen the circle. Suggest a walk instead of a corner. Keep the time boundary you set even when flattery begs for an extension. Add a window to the moment. Another voice, brighter lighting, a context that makes space for truth over adrenaline. These are not evasions, they are stewardship. They tell the nervous system that nothing has to be clutched in order to be cherished. Let the day end with inventory that keeps you human. Where did you let your pace protect someone's peace? Where did you reach for a crown when a towel would have done better? Where did your restraint turn heat into honor? Where did your ego try to turn awe into oxygen? Speak these answers to God without theater. Confession is polish for the mantle you carry. Gratitude is the oil that keeps it from squeaking. In the morning, the aura will wake with you. Carry it like water, balanced on an open palm. Steady, visible, never clenched. The world will call it irresistible. Heaven will call it stewardship. Let both be true without letting either become your master. Chosen one, there is a rhythm under your ribs that the world can hear right now. It is not the frantic tempo of needing to be seen, nor the dull drum of ego at rest. It is the measured beat of a man synced to his source. Steady enough to trust, strong enough to move others without pushing them. This is what people feel when they call you irresistible. They are not confessing weakness, they are recognizing tempo. Your high sexual energy has been tuned this month into a pulse that organizes the space around you. Conversation eases into cadence. Confusion loses its footing. Even silence learns its manners. The body recognizes what the mind has not had time to name. This rhythm is safe to dance to. Let the pulse govern your pace, not the other way around. Urgency will try to borrow your heartbeat for its campaigns, drafting you into moments that confuse acceleration with intimacy. Decline politely. Keep the beat human. The human beat makes room for yes and no, and not yet to sound like music instead of alarm. When a woman leans toward you with that glimmer of inevitability in her eyes, answer first with breath. Breathing is consent's older cousin. It signals that choices are welcome here. Match her presence without hijacking her pace. Ask questions that return agency rather than purchase access. Speak fewer words with more weight. The pulse will carry what chatter cannot. Your voice is part of the rhythm section. Use tone like a craftsman, not a salesman. Warmth without invoices, curiosity without interrogation, humor without casualties. These are percussions that keep the room honest. When you offer admiration, let it be precise enough to land as recognition rather than recruitment. When you receive admiration, let gratitude be a channel, not a cup. If a moment invites touch, let it echo everything your habit has already told the truth about. I am governed, I am listening. I will not rent the future to decorate this hour. If touch does not belong, let restraint complete the measure without leaving a bruise on the song. Bodies remember whether the music honored them. Guard the downbeat, those first choices that set the bar for everything that follows. Choose settings with windows where attention cannot impersonate intimacy. Choose endings that arrive on time so tomorrow does not start with apologies. Choose language that can survive daylight and repetition. Choose Sabbath as non-negotiable oxygen. Because a man without rest mistakes adrenaline for anointing and performance for presence. The downbeat teaches the whole piece what kind of song this will be. Let yours be clean and kind enough that others can sing along without losing themselves. Women will feel healed around you for reasons they cannot draft into bullet points. It is the way your steadiness relieves them of the work of reading danger in every new smile. It is the way your eyes witness beauty without itemizing it. It is the way your no arrives early and gentle, saving both of you from the theater of late boundaries. The world has made them pay cover charges to be seen. Your rhythm opens the door and refuses their money. This relief can be mistaken for destiny when it is in fact dignity. Do not monetize that confusion. Clarify it with sentences that keep power where it belongs. I honor what's here. I'm moving at the speed where we both remain whole. I enjoy you. I won't trade clarity for closeness. I'm grateful. I will not let flattery spend tomorrow. Expect temptation to dress as acceleration. Opportunities will whisper that speed is proof, that legends are written in extended nights and expanded promises. But real resonance does not require overtime. It requires honesty. Let your pulse prove that timing is an instrument, not a tyrant. End the evening while tenderness still has breath. Send the message that says exactly what it can afford. Decline the plan that would cost your integrity and explanation. A month of these small fidelities composes a symphony of trust that no single crescendo can counterfeit. Keep counsel near who can hear if your tempo slips. Invite one or two who will ask whether you are becoming gentler or just more praised, clearer or merely louder, rested or only busier. Accountability is a metronome you willingly face. It keeps you from rewriting the song in the middle to please an audience that does not have to live with your aftermath. Let these voices recalibrate you without ceremony. A musician who can tune mid-performance is a musician who can be trusted when the room is loud. Finally, return the rhythm each night to the composer who lent it. Thank him for the moments when desire served purpose instead of stealing it. Thank him for the conversations that stayed human, the boundaries that stayed kind, the yeses that stayed governed, the goodbyes that left tomorrow uninjured. Confess where your ego tried to turn resonance into evidence, where fear tried to make you central instead of accurate. Ask for steadier hands, slower eyes, a softer edge, and a spine that refuses the shortcut. Then sleep like a man who knows that the song will be there in the morning, not because you chased it, but because you stayed true to its key. When you wake, do not rush to perform the rhythm. Breathe until it returns. Pray until your hunger remembers its home. Step into the day without asking for an audience. The irresistible you will feel like presence, not pressure, like gravity, not grip. Women will still draw near. The difference is that your pulse will teach them without lecture that nearness is safest where freedom can breathe. And you, chosen one, will discover that the most powerful music you make this month is not the melody that turns heads, but the quiet, faithful beat that keeps hearts whole. Chosen one, when people say you are irresistible this month, they are touching the edge of something older than words. The hush that settles over water at dawn, the way birds delay their chorus because the light itself seems to be listening. Your stillness is doing the calling, not the frozen, guarded kind that hides feeling, but the living stillness that leaves room for reality to sit down and tie its shoes. You have learned not to chase your worth down hallways or audition for rooms that do not know how to measure you. That learning has gathered in your chest and turned into weather. Women feel it the way a traveler feels a coastline before seeing it, a subtle change in the air that whispers, "There is land here." In that sensation, a system tired of alertness lays its armor on the floor, if only for a moment. And because relief feels rare, that moment wants to be more. Your task is to guard the miracle by making it ordinary, so common in your presence that no one has to clutch it to keep it. Stillness is a tempo first and a teaching second. You speak at a speed where consent can find its voice without clearing its throat. You allow pauses to be shared property, not a vacuum you must fill with charm. You resist the old habit of translating silence into insecurity and instead let it be a bench where meaning rests between sentences. In that rhythm, confession does not need to be purchased, and attention does not become a wage. The world has run a deficit of this pace. Your presence this month is a balanced budget that settles accounts without fanfare. Women are drawn to the solvency of it. They sense that your attention is not borrowed from tomorrow, that your laughter is not rented from someone else's expense. If they move closer, it is because their bodies believe you will not bill them for the visit. You have also stopped using volume to do intimacy's job. When the room grows bright with proximity, your voice lowers rather than enlarges. It is not a performance. It is a promise that nothing is being sold here. You ask questions that hand people back to themselves, the way a good host returns a coat unwrinkled and warm. What do you need for this to stay gentle? What timing leaves us proud of this moment tomorrow? What does safety sound like in your body right now? These are not slogans. They are the doorway through which reverence enters. They keep magnetism from turning into momentum that neither of you can steer. Without the pressure of speed, desire becomes accurate, and accuracy is what keeps beauty from being expensive. Your eyes participate in this stillness with the soft discipline of return. They do not roam for inventory. They remain for witness. You can look at someone's beauty without putting it on a shelf, at their story without turning it into a souvenir, at their courage without taking credit for it. That style of seeing tells the truth about who you serve. Because you serve God first, you do not need to make an altar out of an evening. Because you honor yourself, you do not need someone else to shrink to feel tall. Because you carry heat as a hearth and not a wildfire, no one has to choose between warming their hands and keeping their house. In that environment, attraction loses its sharp elbows. Even the word irresistible changes costume. It stops meaning conquest and starts meaning coherence. Your timing completes the lesson. You end before scarcity starts negotiating. You let goodbyes be benedictions rather than cliffhangers. You leave while tenderness still breathes, so that tomorrow has something to inherit from today. If a woman's schedule begins to orbit yours, you gently nudge the planets back onto paths where both suns can rise. This is not detachment, it is devotion to continuity. The chosen ones are custodians of pace, and pace is how intimacy learns to last. If eyes linger at the door, you do not louden the chemistry to make parting feel legendary. You keep it human so that the legend, if there is one, belongs to the truth you guarded rather than the flash you improvised. Do not underestimate the way ordinary care feeds this stillness. You sleep like patience depends on it, which it does. You eat in ways that do not invoice tomorrow for tonight's charm. You move your body so that usefulness is your default and not a special effect. You keep little promises to yourself so that big promises to others are not acrobatics. There is a sacrament hidden in these choices. They are how you prevent your presence from needing rescue. A regulated nervous system is the quiet instrument that accompanies your conversations. Its music tells the room, there is no emergency. The absence of emergency lets affection find its correct size. Stillness has a spine. It is not passivity dressed in linen. You correct gently when a moment tries to hire confusion as its agent. You place the window back on its hinges when secrecy lures you toward fog. You say not now without training your voice to sound like a gate slamming. In your care, boundaries become architecture rather than alarm systems. Women will feel the difference quickly. They will test your windows and discover they open to air rather than arguments. They will close the door and hear a latch that clicks without scolding. This is why being near you feels irresistible this month. Freedom keeps its shape around you. The soul runs its hands over the frame and finds no splinters. When the day is over and praise buzzes at the edges like the last flies of summer, you return to your source. You hand back the attention that tried to become oxygen. You name where you almost used a moment to decorate your legend when plain would have done. You bless the minutes where you left well and ask for more of that quiet courage. You sleep not as a man guarding a myth, but as a steward who trusts the night watch to someone wiser. In the morning, stillness will rise with you. It will tie your shoes while the world ties a story around your name. Let the story pass. Walk at your kept pace. The calling will continue, chosen one, not because you announced it, but because you remain the kind of place where truth can hear itself think. Chosen one, there is a flame living behind your ribs that has learned its own manners, and that is why it feels like home to those who draw near. The month has not taken your heat, it has tempered it. Think of a forge in a careful smith's hands. Metal held in fire, then set in water, then returned to the blaze, each pass giving it memory, each cooling giving it mercy. Your high energy has undergone that apprenticeship. What once crackled outward now warms inward first, and by warming inward it makes room for wisdom to sit beside desire. People call the result irresistible. Heaven calls it governance. Fire wants fuel. Without guidance, it devours whatever is closest. Under guidance, it waits for what belongs and refuses what would turn it into spectacle. You have learned to feed this flame with prayer before you feed it with praise, with craft before you feed it with attention, with rest before you feed it with plans. The order matters. Prayer tells the fire who owns it. Craft teaches the fire to make rather than merely burn. Rest reminds the fire that it is not hired to keep you famous at the cost of keeping you whole. In that order, your warmth does what warmth was made to do. It gathers people without consuming them. Women will come close this month because your fire promises light without interrogation. They sense that sitting near you will not require them to turn themselves into fuel. They will bring stories that have learned to hide in the shadows and hold them up at your edge to see if the shapes look less frightening in your glow. Some will ask outright for permission to stay. Others will pretend to be indifferent while their chair betrays them by inching nearer. You cannot let ego be the usher. Ego sells tickets and oversells the room. Love is a better host. Love watches occupancy. Love turns guests toward the window when the heat rises. Love sets water within reach and makes sure the door is not blocked by your charisma. Thus guarded, your fire becomes a place where people remember the contours of their own faces. There is a transmutation that your flame specializes in now. It takes adrenaline, a clever thief dressed up as passion, and refines it into attention. It takes fantasy, a shortcut marketed as romance, and refines it into intention. It takes loneliness, a loud room that convinces you it is an orchestra, and refines it into solitude, where you hear one voice and know your name again. Women feel this alchemy working on them as you speak. They notice that urgency loses its entitlement and keeps only its energy. They notice that compliments lose their invoices and keep only their truth. They notice that touch, when it belongs, carries the same governance as your tone. Asked like a prayer, answered like a promise. Able to end before holiness must raise its voice. The body remembers such moments and begins to trust them. That trust, not the fire alone, is what makes your presence hard to leave. Your flame knows how to honor edges. The hearth is hot, but the brickwork is cool enough to lean against. You make the edges visible with clear beginnings and endings, with language that does not draft the future into paying for today's glow, with departure that does not sneak out the back door and call it finesse. You state time and keep it. You state capacity and keep it. You decline the extra hour when that hour would use up the oxygen tomorrow needs to breathe. These choices do not dim the fire, they brighten it by keeping smoke out of the room. People can see each other in such air. Seeing each other is the point. Your heat is a means, not a mascot. The holy fire within is generous, but it is not a public utility. You guard it from becoming merchandise. Not every moment is for market. Not every tenderness is for circulation. Keep a drawer where unphotographed goodness lives. The prayer you whispered on a sidewalk for a stranger who did not notice you pause. The apology you sent before your pride could write a speech. The money you placed where your name could not follow. The evening you ended while the story still had honey on its tongue. These are the embers that keep the blaze honest. Without them, fire becomes content. With them, fire remains covenant. When temptation arrives, and it will, this month dressed as efficiency, remember that sacred things die under fluorescent light. Efficiency will tell you to speed intimacy along, to use heat as a solvent, to skip the patient work of trust because you can get the glow with fewer steps. You can, many men do. They mistake flame reflected on glass for flame held by iron. But you know better now. You know the weight that a rightful vessel gives to warmth. You know that speed is cheap power, and cheap power leaves rings on the tables where it was set. You will choose instead the slow choreography of asking and waiting, of staying until clarity speaks and leaving before scarcity does. That is the discipline that keeps your fire holy. Let the month make you a steward of small dawns. The dramatic sunrise will come when it comes, but most days call for a hand cupped around a match so the wind does not bully it, for breath gentle enough to grow the flame without blowing it out, for patience while damp wood learns its lesson. You do this work in conversations that refuse to escalate just to be memorable, in dates that end at a human hour, in disagreements that lower their voices because dignity wants to keep listening. Each small dawn leaves behind a habit in the soul that hosted it. Habits outlast moods. The women who pass by your fire and carry away such habits will call you unforgettable for reasons they cannot articulate. What they will be naming is readability. You let them read themselves clearer, and the page was easier to love in your light. The holy fire also cooks. It turns raw gratitude into meals that feed people beyond words. You carry names into rooms they cannot enter and return them larger. You spend favor like seed, not like confetti. You make work warmer without making it sloppy, family calmer without making it dull, friendship braver without making it reckless. Your heat keeps things moving at a humane temperature. That is influence at its cleanest, a climate that grows whatever is planted in it. Chosen ones become climates. Their private weather becomes public mercy. At night, bank the fire. Pull the embers together. Say thank you for every moment when heat served honor. For every yes that stayed governed. For every goodbye that left tomorrow uninjured. Say forgive me where I let appetite dress up as urgency, where I tried to be necessary instead of being accurate, where I wanted to be central when I was called to be consistent. Then sleep with your hearth intact. Morning will find the coals ready, not because you performed flames for the dark, but because you tended what lasts. Rise, open the flue, and let your day warm again. Quietly, steadily, irresistibly, not as a show to be watched, but as a home in which others remember how to live. Chosen one, desire is a mirror long before it is a map. This month, when a woman lingers in your orbit, when her voice softens or her schedule bends to make space near you, understand that she is not merely moving toward you. She is moving toward what you awaken in her. Your presence is reading as safety and voltage at the same time, and that rare pairing reflects the part of her that remembers courage without hurry and softness without risk. The eyes that find you irresistible are often searching for themselves. Treat that search as sacred. You are not the destination. You are a polished surface where truth can see its outline again. Mirrors must stay clean to be useful. Keep yours free of fog made by flattery and steam made by ego. When admiration rises, let gratitude pass through you without pooling into performance. Speak sentences that return agency rather than purchase intimacy. I honor the way you carry your voice. I enjoy this pace that keeps tomorrow proud of us. I will not spend clarity to make the moment louder. These are not tricks, they are translations. They convert the electricity of attraction into the language of honor. In that language, desire remains human-sized and therefore humane. The reflection will sometimes show ache before it shows beauty. A woman may reach quickly, not because greed is driving, but because history is whispering that goodness disappears if not held tightly. Do not embarrass the ache and do not exploit it. Answer with rhythm. Let your breathing stay unhurried so the body learns there is no emergency. Let your timing stay faithful so the mind learns repetition can be trusted. Let your exit stay kind so the heart learns endings do not have to wound beginnings. The chosen ones discipline their glow into governance precisely so that other people can stop bracing. Desire will ask to be named. Names are heavy. Carry only what you can keep lifted. If a moment requests a label, give it a present tense truth instead of a future tense performance. I enjoy you. I am moving slowly on purpose. I am not trading context for chemistry. When desire is met with accuracy, it matures. When it is met with exaggeration, it mutates. You have seen what mutation costs. Stories that start as fireworks and end as smoke alarms. Keep your sentences small enough to fit inside your character and large enough to hold her dignity. There is an artistry to where you place the mirror. Choose rooms with windows so attention cannot impersonate intimacy. Choose tables where the chairs face outward toward life, not inward toward spectacle. Choose routes that include daylight and endpoints your integrity can defend. In such settings, the reflection becomes reliable. She sees how your eyes witness rather than harvest, how your silence makes space instead of making demands, how your laughter does not hire casualties to earn a memory. She sees herself without distortion. That is the quiet miracle you are carrying everywhere you go. The reflection will also reveal you to yourself. Desire directed at you has a way of outlining your edges, both clean and crooked. Watch what compliments your ego craves and what corrections your humility welcomes. Notice when your kindness grows sharper at 2 in the morning because you betrayed your own bedtime. Notice when you want to borrow tomorrow's language to decorate tonight's scene. Then return to the small covenants that keep your mirror true. Water, sleep, prayer, work done well before work displayed. Words that can withstand daylight, exits that leave tenderness breathing. These are unglamorous habits. They are also the polish that keeps love from paying fees to your charisma. At times, the reflection will be so radiant that you will be tempted to stand there longer just to admire what your presence has made possible. Move gently. The mirror is for her first. Let her take the image back into her life. Celebrate the hour you do not witness because it proves the work did not depend on you. If she feels more herself at her own table, if she speaks more precisely with her friends, if she insists on rest the way you insisted on ending while the moment was still golden, then your reflection has done holy labor. If the mirror shows confusion, widen the frame. Invite counsel and community, settings with oxygen that false urgency cannot breathe. Open the window called time, where repetition either proves the promise or exposes the pretense. Desire that survives time is worth carrying. Desire that requires acceleration is asking to skip the lesson. You are not a dispenser of exceptions. You are a steward of pace. In your stewardship, desire learns to be accurate instead of dramatic, generous instead of possessive, awake instead of frantic. At day's end, return the mirror to the one who made faces worth reflecting. Thank him for the moments you handled like glass, careful, grateful, unpossessive. Confess where you almost turned someone's awe into your oxygen. Ask for cleaner sight tomorrow, a softer edge when you correct, a stronger spine when you stop, a steadier pulse when beauty stands close. Then rest. Mirrors stored in humility do not crack overnight. Morning will find your surface clear and your assignment simple. Receive, reflect, release.